Forget not the days of old, and recall the stories told of the burnings and the screams. Do they ever haunt your dreams? There was a time when freedom died, was an age of genocide. The Inquisition at the door, Church of Rome in a holy war. They brought freedom on the wheel, in the madness of their zeal, in the shadow of their way, the innocent burning at the stake. Children resist, they return to the burning times. People be wise to the power of their lives. Be not fooled, those who were fooled before.
Live from the Seymour Broom Closet, once again, the witch is back. With me is our signer, Ashmira, and on the phone, a true legend in the field of paganism and Wicca, Mr. Raymond Buckland. How are you doing this evening, Ray?
Very good, thanks, and very happy to be here, Rabbit.
Very cool. I was gonna ask you a few questions. First off, I did want to say the new DVD that was re-released. I love it.
Good.
It's
good.
absolutely fabulous. And I was reading the notes, and Scott Cunningham did the camera work.
Yes, Scott was there when we were filming, and he was running around with his own video camera and shooting all sorts of things and getting in the way, but having a good time. We all loved him, of course. And I happened to have a copy of the video that he made, and so when it was decided that we would make a DVD of our original video, I let them know that I had that, and of course we had some of the footage that originally had been cut out, because we originally shot 2 hours for the video, and then Llewellyn decided to only use 1 hour of it, so we had some extra footage from that. We had Scott's video, and then, as you saw, we added a lot of new stuff as well.
Yeah, well, I really like the little videos that you made, like the little music videos.
Yes.
The offering one was really nice.
Right. Yes. My wife Tara did the music for most of those.
It's absolutely fabulous.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, I will get on with the interview.
Okay.
All right. First off, what do you feel are some of the roadblocks to pagan unity, and do you feel that pagan unity is possible?
Well, of course, anything is possible. There are roadblocks. Now, let's see, are we talking paganism or are we talking Wicca specifically? Wicca, of course, is only a small part of paganism generally, and paganism is such a large field that getting unity there might well be very, very difficult, because there's so many different aspects, so many different practices and beliefs. Within Wicca, of course, you get a lot of the what are sometimes termed witch wars going on. And I think these can be overcome. I certainly hope so. They certainly should be able to, because after all, witchcraft is a religion based on love for one's fellow man and woman, love for all life. Where the problems come in, I think, are with egotism, with the power trips that come about, where somebody wants to be more powerful, a more powerful witch, a more powerful pagan than somebody else. When that happens, and also, incidentally, jealousy often creeps in here. Somebody is perhaps doing very well, and someone else becomes jealous of them. And the problem here is that many times they forget the Wiccan Rede, they forget what they've been taught, they forget that you should harm no one. And some even will actually go out and try to work magic against other people, and this is where you get should not be because of our beliefs and principles. But it's a question, I guess, of getting the word out and educating people enough for them to realize that this should be, paganism and Wicca should be a realm of live and let live. There are many, many different approaches, many, many different interests, practices, beliefs, and just because you do something one way doesn't mean that somebody else is wrong because they do it another way. You have to let other people do their own thing. So long as it's right for them, then it's right, period. So the problem comes with people who do not live and let live. It all comes down to the old golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And if everybody could really be made to follow that, then I think we would have no problems. The disunity, the witch wars and what have you, have been going on for, 40 years to my knowledge. So I don't think they're going to end tomorrow. But hopefully they will dwindle. I think there's not as much warring and as much disunity as there used to be. But it's still there, and it still pops up from time to time, flares up, and all we can do is to hope to get over it.
That's very true, sir. What would you say to people coming into the craft who think "do what thy will" means there are no rules or guidelines in Wicca?
Well, of course, "do what thou wilt" was Aleister Crowley's phrase. It's not the Wiccan phrase. The Wiccan phrase is "an it harm none, do what thou wilt." And that "an it harm none" is the most important part, because this is actually, far from there being no rules or guidelines, this is actually a very strict guideline. You can do what you like, yes, so long as you harm no one. And that no one, of course, includes yourself.
Okay. All right, well, that brings me up...
So there are very strict guidelines in Wicca. And, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. Just one second. So, it is a very, very strict guideline, and there's certainly no question of there being no guidelines in Wicca. So anyone who comes into the craft thinking that, they will probably and hopefully be corrected. I'm sure that if it's coming into a coven situation, then the coveners and certainly the priestess would set them straight. If it's operating as a solitary, then hopefully they will learn that the actual phrase is "an it harm none, do what thou wilt," not just "do what thou wilt."
Okay. Well, that brings me into another question that I was going to ask later on, but you had brought up, yourself being included in that. If ye harm none is part of the read.
Right.
Now, to my understanding, none would include yourself.
Right.
So with that being the case, wouldn't hard drugs and alcoholism go against the Wiccan read, and therefore you'd want to correct that in your life?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, that is one of the main things, and certainly back in the 60s when I first came into the craft, there was a lot of drugs going around. Today, of course, there's still some, and there's a lot of alcohol going around, and anything which harms you, even cigarettes, anything. If you smoke habitually, if you drink habitually, then you are harming your body. I mean, there are no two ways about it. This is a known medical fact. So these are things which you should not do, and hard drugs, very definitely not. This is very definitely going against the Wiccan read. Many years ago, I guess back in the Middle Ages, witches, there was talk of witches using drugs, and I think probably at one time they did, at the time of the persecutions. This was the time when they were in hiding, when everyone was down on them, when the witches were being sought out and taken and being tortured and persecuted generally. And I think at that time, some Wiccans would use drugs in order to achieve a state of what we call ecstasis, or if you like, ecstasy, getting out of yourself, a high, if you like. They would do this because they were working in very